Radio. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Thanks, Nighthawk. If you've just tuned in, this is the second hour of 2 hours of Dave and Meckie's Shiny Side Out. You're back with us into the second hour on Revolution Radio, the number one listener-supported talk radio on the net. So push the donate button or subscribe to the archives for free. Doesn't cost you anything. You can catch our shows. It goes back a couple of years. If you're looking for older shows, you can find those on our YouTube channel, which is pretty cool. Shiny Side Out RR, which is Revolution Radio. And you can find other host shows. So if you like us, or even if you don't like us, you'll find something that you like in the archives. There's so many shows, so many hosts, so many topics that it's worth your while. And look, it's MP3 format too, so you can download them and binge them to your heart's content. That's what you can do. Do you know what, Meckie and I, this is I think the 11th year for us. I think, don't know, I can't remember. So long now. And we were thinking of doing a clip show at the 10th show. This is show number 571. You know what? We never did the clip show, and we just had more content, and we've built on the content, and now we have 571 shows, basically times 2. So, I've got to get a calculator. Hang on. My maths is so poor in my head that I can't do maths. So it's 1,140, I should have known that, 1,142 hours of content. Not all of that was recovered from the great YouTube cleansing event that occurred when Revolution Radio had its channel shut down, and that's where the original place of all the archives. If you've got any old shows of ours in any format, don't care if it's YouTube or MP3, or if you found some on the internet, let us know. Certainly catch up with us in the chat room while we're on air. And it's 2 to 4 Eastern American time. Here it's 6 to 8 p.m. Sunday time. That does vary by 2 hours over the years, over the process of a whole year. If you can, get in contact with us. Otherwise, shinysideout.net is the website where there's contact information there. You can send us a message and we can have a communication with you. Oh, that's so formal. We can do that. We can talk to you and help you share that archive with us. However, I'm going to thank you right now for listening to Revolution Radio and Dave and Meckie's Shiny Side Out. And if you're still here from the last hour, thank you. I know I get a lot of opposition when I'm on my own, and I really appreciate that you're here, and you've invited us into your lives in some way, shape, or form. Like I said, this is episode 571. It still surprises me that there's that many shows under our belt. And once upon a time, believe it or not, I was on 2 Triple M, which is a Sydney station, and it was pretty much dog watch. It was like 11 till 7 or 11 till 5 or something in the morning. Crazy. Crazy show that was. No listeners at all. At all. I get more conversations in this chat room than I did then. Thanks to Mika Lagos for saying that the audio was good. Wow. Yes. All right. So in the last hour, I know it's getting a bit dark. I do that on my own when I'm on my own. Can't help it. It's just who I am, and it is the culmination. The darkness is my curiosity with how to survive a global conflict. That is it. That's the purest of my heart is that. Because if I can know that, then we can prepare for an emergency where that knowledge will become foremost. Yes, top of the pile knowledge to know. Remember, the internet wouldn't be around. If there was a global conflict, that's the end of the internet. It's the end of email. It's probably the end of your bank account, since it's all digital now, or this tap business. Worse still, if it was a couple of years from now and we got into digital currencies, that's even worse. Right? There wouldn't be anything for anybody. If there's still a way to crank up something and get some power somewhere, some banks would probably be alive. But wages, your work, everything, all of that's gone. So I raise a really interesting point here with how is this stuff not the 6 o'clock news time slot? This next story, I think, that I found this week was bizarre. That South Africa is the location for a China and Russia and South African naval exercise that's currently going on. It's going on right now. Right now, right here, right now. No, right, not here. It's off the coast of South Africa, which is just around the globe it's pretty much equally distant from America and Australia. That's where it is. Russia's frigate is taking part in the exercises, and it's the one that has the hypersonic weaponry. Hypersonic missiles, for that matter, called Zircon. I think that's because it makes everything, well, not glass, not diamonds, when it blows it up, but that's probably where they got that name from. It kind of makes it result in glass, or glass-like. So, the missile itself can travel several times the speed of sound, which they claim makes it undefendable. You can't defend yourself against it. Look, the automated weapons like the Phalanx, which is that dome kind of cylinder. It looks like an oil filter, actually, with a gun on the bottom, and it's on a gimbal, and it's able to track aircraft and shoot and missiles and drones and all those things. And they have them on ships now, and they've got them, when you have an American, military base that has people in it, they'll have those around the base as well to protect it from incoming fire. That's really good. They're good weapons, but their calculations apparently used to not be able to cater for anything hypersonic. Apparently that's changed. They've all been upgraded. And so Russia touts the fact that these can't be stopped. And I think that was accurate back in the day when they first released them. But, knowing how fast they go now, you'd easily see them on radar or the approach or what have you, several radars, and be able to calculate based on that. And then once Phalanx has decided that it is the threat to take out, then it only has to shoot in front of the object a certain distance in order to collide with it, with its huge 50mm rounds, incendiary rounds. And good luck with that. So this ship with these weapons is is taking place is down there off South Africa. Now, South Africa says it's neutral to the conflict, doesn't care whether it goes on or not, and that's why it's taking part in these exercises. I wonder if any intel is coming out of those exercises at all. Who'd know if South Africa was sending telemetry or any of their intel to Australia, or therefore the West? How are they saying they're not the West, I wonder? How is that discussion going down? Because internally within South Africa, there's people who think that that's not right, because the news story that I was reading this week said that it had fueled criticism. These war games had fueled criticism, and they fear that they could endanger the relations with the West. So within that bubble of South Africa, this is kind of the sentiment that's bubbling up. And you know what? It makes me question all of these war games. Is it coming at the right time? I truly wonder. I really do. I wonder if all of this is right. Is this a global play? Is it a global fiasco? Is it entertainment? Is it designed to create fear? You know, you can say entertainment because, you know, you go to see a movie, and while you're watching the movie, you know, you might laugh, cringe, get angry, even cry in a movie. Just because it's, you know, you're either following a character who's, you know, been submitted to things that release these emotions from you. And if you don't have any empathy, you'll just sit there staring at the screen. What the hell is going on? Why is everyone upset right now? Or why is everyone angry with that? I kind of sympathize with the bad guy, the anti-hero, right? I don't know. I don't know how you react. Or maybe at the end when the actual anti-hero is, you know, gets their comeuppance, which is usually, you know, a Hollywood blockbuster, we're going to pull the handle and out comes a movie kind of script. That the people in the audience with no sympathy, you know, like all the narcissists go, oh man, why do they do that? Why do they take out this really good guy, right? Or this really good character? I don't know. Maybe they do sympathize with the people. I was watching a South Park episode the other day, back in the first. I'm watching the whole series with my daughter, and one of those from, I think, episode 10 or 9 or something, from series 1, going to go back a ways. I think it's got 30-something seasons, is the Jesus versus the devil fight, which is hilarious. There's only one bet for Jesus and everyone else is for the devil. And Damien is there, the son of the devil, who's there to usher in the new blah, blah, blah. And I know that that one of my 2 daughters would be in favor of that character. That's the one that's bringing the disruption, because she's a bit like that. She kind of likes the you know, the conflict, or the grating, I suppose, related, you know, in any kind of discourse. She's a teen, that's what they do. But because it's the wrong thing to do, she wants to follow that as well. And I'm not going to name my daughter. My daughters are great. They're loving, friendly kids, right? And but yeah, she likes the underdog. So if the underdog is the bad person, she'll follow them. This is all part of the same kind of narrative. Now, oh, that's right. I did have a couple of screens. So I've got the Russian hypersonic missile ships in South Africa. Same initials, SA. War games. I've got from the previous hour, I've got the China outlines 12-point peace plan for Ukraine. Calls for ceasefire. Yeah, good on you. The other one is really interesting. So there's been a lot of backlash. It's a bit of a jump. Hop, skip, and jump, and keep up All right, people, what are you doing? Keep up. This is about the COVID thing and the foreign influence regime under parliamentarian microscope. That's there. I found that story. There you go. So you can pause it there on the YouTube if you wish to read it. Yeah, that's. I'm not gonna pay for my news, so they can. You just get the beginning few paragraphs. All right. I've already spoken about that anyway. This was from last week, but I thought it was still pertinent that the internet goes wild over Jill Biden and Doug Emhoff's kiss. Geez, that didn't even make any news. Mainstream media dodged that, unless they were kind of alty, and then they played it. But it was a full shake hands, and I thought, oh no, and then yeah, they kissed on the lips like two persons who have been in a relationship prior. That's just what it looked like. It really did. I mean, they didn't press their bodies against each other or, fan their fingers out and comb it through the back of the person's head from side to the back and then pull them closer. They did none of those things. Yes, it appears kind of harmless, but I'm going to say it's not what two people should do who are currently married to other people. That's, kiss on the cheek, sure. Not on the lips. Are you crazy? I can imagine the aftermath of that if anyone in any serious relationship was caught doing that. Like, what the hell? You would be accused of all sorts of nonsense, which may or may not be true. But anyway, I'm going to move on. This was weird. So, in Russia, I've been tracking all of these scientists and leaders, researchers, like top military brass, all kind of dying of suicides. So you type suicide in these days. I typed Russia actually in suicide. And there was all these slipped out a window or fell out a window. Russian, top brass, and all these words, and I think there's about 5 or 6 of them in the last year. So, and one of them was the treasurer or something, the one treasurer of the war, or I don't know what it was, but whatever it was, whoever they were, that was really sad. But it's kind of typical KGB that someone should slip out a window, and all the documents the person was reading were there on the inside, like they were reading the documents right before they were accidentally fell out the window. Like, what happens there, I wonder? Becky, why do you sound that you are sitting across the room from a cheap mic with some words just failing to register and fading out? I don't know, maybe turn your mic up. Your mic, your speaker's up. Because, the meter here that I see showing a great volume. So maybe Skype is doing something nuts to it. Let me just check my settings. And I appreciate the feedback. From what I can see, everything's hunky-dory. Microphone. Yeah, so if I tap it's got the right microphone. Noise cancellation is only on low. Yeah, it all looks fine. Anyway, nothing I can do at my end, I'm afraid. Next. That kind of searching led me to find this one, which I didn't know. This was today. It says, family rocked by billionaire's shock suicide in his office. So friends, neighbours and flowers arrived in a steady stream to the family's apartment building as the financier's widow was spotted briefly leaving with several friends. It goes on to say the family of tragic billionaire Thomas H. Lee, who committed suicide this week in his Manhattan office, is in a somber state, according to a friend. It doesn't say anything else. I don't think it's a good time because they're in a somber state, said the man who declined to give his name. So there isn't much here. It said he was just found on the bathroom floor in his Fifth Avenue office by a female assistant. A pal of the Clintons. Here we go. Lee was once known as the envy of Wall Street and believed to be worth an estimated $2 billion when he died. His body was discovered after the assistant had gone looking for a boss when he hadn't been heard from. First responders found Lee, who pioneered the leveraged buyout industry, lying on his side. Oh, they found him lying on his side, sources said. 5 kids, blah, blah, blah. So there's no cause of death in there anywhere. This is the story I thought I was clicking on prior, but here it is. Now, in relation to the COVID lockdowns in Australia and our being banned from going outside or travelling further than a certain perimeter around your house. Now, it could have been 2 or 3 kilometres maximum. And that was just a line around your house. And it was an app made by the police, for the police, so they could use, when you type their address in, if they happened to be anywhere outside of that circle, there was a fine. Now, they've backtracked on most of that. But here's something really interesting that I found, and it's infectious disease expert slams absolutely atrocious COVID measure. And there's a quote here in the news story, and it says, no matter how hard you look, you cannot find much COVID transmission outdoors. He told the Daily Mail in Australia, we should never in the future stop people from being outdoors. And this, obviously that was flying in the face of what was being enforced as what many said was overreach by the policing agencies around the world. Because it isn't a law that makes it illegal. It's an artifact of the Emergency Biosecurity Act. Now, I know that the intention is to save people, which is good. It's there to save people. And it's there for a reason. These Emergency Biosecurity Acts, which I don't know if it's even repealed yet or turned off. I'm not sure. But in our country, when they put that in, because we don't have a constitution as such, there's no plain set of rules in which we can live by, or that, that the government can't touch regardless of the situation. There's no overriding rule set. So here, sadly, this was just the state of play. They could say that we couldn't go outside, and that was enough. You couldn't travel this far. Sure, you had to mandate wearing a mask. You had to have your vaccinations to go outside. Then workplaces were allowed to say you can't come back to work unless you've been vaccinated. All of those discussions took place. Now we're discovering that there was misinformation being propagated by or promulgated by the media outlets and the government, but the government has the parliamentary privilege, which is only meant to protect them when they're on the Senate floor saying whatever they want, and not on the grounds of Parliament House, but not outside of that. And that's what it's meant to do. They can't be held liable for anything they say. Something really interesting, though, is that by stating out of thin air that the vaccine will prevent you acquiring the virus, make it harmless to you, and then preventing the transmission was false. If we just look at this out of those three statements, it didn't stop you getting the virus at all. You still acquired the virus. Doesn't matter. And the third point, which was the transmission, well, when they were selling us this in the media, there was no testing ever done by the companies themselves who produced the vaccines, and that since there weren't any test directly associated to test the transmission, then where were they getting this information from? It just seemed to be made up. And as we know now, it didn't stop the transmission either. So it didn't stop you acquiring the virus or transmitting it. It could have lessened it, but the masks would have lessened the transmission more than anything else. The mask would not have stopped you acquiring the virus either, because unless it's a N95 duckbill mask, or you're wearing an old World War II gas mask or something like that, you're going to get the virus. Right? And then it's also up to personal cleanliness, because you have to, every surface you've touched, you've got the virus on you. If it was on this surface, you could be carrying it. So the messages that the government were telling us in order to sell the vaccine seemed to be fraudulent from the perspective of the Florida lawsuit that's out there now because of false advertising claims on the vaccine. I think it's a legitimate way of defending or against it, right? At least getting it through the courts and having all this stuff read in. I think it's really important, but I don't think any of our respective governments are ever going to back down and say, actually, you know what, we were wrong when we said all this stuff about it. And you could play a montage of them saying all of this stuff repeatedly for hours on hours and hours, because every single day they kept telling us the same thing. Get the vaccine. Well, I got the vaccine and I had the Delta version, and I had to have the Pluravax to survive it. It's not a battle scar. It just isn't. And it's kind of sad that that's what it did. But now they're saying that if you come in contact with a virus either similar in the coronavirus family or and survived, then your immunity is kind of better than just flooding, the person with what's it called again? Jeez, it's been so long. Goodness me. With spike protein, yeah. And I had a friend. I know I was repeating this, but I have a friend who's a GBS survivor who had GPS as a direct response to one of the brands, and was laid up in hospital for 6 months. Is still just walking now after all that time, 2 years later. And it's horrid that should happen to anyone, but because these were emergency approvals, there's no recourse, right? There's nothing that can be done to fight them and get any money in return. Like, that person should get at least 2 to 3 mil in reparation, right, for causing that damage, and of which you can never recover, right, fully. So it's really, really awful. It's so sad. I can't believe it, right? You're absolutely right. So the mask isn't going to stop the virus from getting in your eyes. You're absolutely right. Completely, 100%. So, but since one of the companies had this antiviral that you can just take later after you get the virus to make it better, your immunity goes up anyway as a result of doing that. And they were sitting on this anyway, because it wasn't that they made this up as they went along. They just had this thing ready to go, and they sold the vaccines to everyone. So, and now And now I think the company, actually, I know, I'm just pretending with you. I think Pfizer and Beam got together and started a company called, started doing CRISPR now. So you can, have an injection and they can change your DNA to, correct a genetic fault that is in your DNA. They can actually repair it. They can change your DNA while you're alive. Now, that's pretty handy. And what an amazing time we live going forward. So through the darkness there's I hope there a glimpse of light there, right? A glimpse of a future that's better. I wonder how long it's going to be before everybody's, designed up or hypered. I don't know, hypered. Is that a word? Leveled up. When do you get it? Is this like the social credit system that when you've been obedient in society and under the Great Reset and this New World Order, do they offer you something? Oh, you get one free CRISPR change. Yeah, awesome. What have I always wanted? When you give a child in a toy store, say you gave them $50. Oh, here, look, this was some of your birthday money. I've been holding on to it. Here you go. Have some of that. And then just run around and buy things needlessly just to fill up the $50 of things they never had any desire to buy. Just they got the shiny $50. Oh, and they run around and they fill a trolley up with stuff. And they want just usually one item now. They put the item in and they go, really, you want that? Why do you want that? Oh, I've got to have it. It's like the cereal aisle when they have toys and stuff in the cereal. Oh, I've got to eat that one. Give me the Apple Jacks, right? I've just finished a box of Apple Jacks that my kids wanted to buy because they saw something on YouTube or TikTok or Insta or whatever it was where someone was doing a taste test of the different flavors, only to discover that all the flavors are identical. It doesn't matter what color the Apple Jack is. And then they go, I didn't like it. So I had to eat it all. Yeah, and there was 3 other cereals that I had to eat because they bought them and didn't like them. And I'm not going to throw it away, right? I'm not going to give it to the chickens. So I said, look, here's how you do it, right? You get your favourite cereal and you put a little bit of the thing you don't like so much in it. Yeah? And you eat it. Just eat it. And they go, no, I'm not doing that. So then I have to eat it. So they watched the brave me eating all of the cereal. I think there was 3 different things that I had to eat. But anyway. So look, there's some backlash now, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere. This is basically an autopsy of how we handled COVID. And I think we'll see this for a number of years still to go. And why it's making the news is once again, yet again beyond me. Why isn't this news in the news? It's because all the other news pushes this down and it doesn't make the top 5 stories to announce in the hour of news. Given it's filled up with sport and weather and there's crazy weather going on right now, I think it was a blizzard in Southern California and SoCal. The only other time that I remember that was 89, I think. I was there in 87 and then back in 82, 83. So I didn't see it back then. But yeah, it's not unheard of. It's just extremely rare. And I wow. Snowing in the desert, yeah, it'll do that. You get sunburnt in the desert, yeah, it'll do that too. And what is it? I rode a horse in the desert. What's the Horse with No Name? I love that America song, yeah? Horse with No Name by America. Anyway, something really disturbing has come out. Polish police reportedly dispute a woman's claim that she is the missing British girl Madeleine McCann. Polish police have commented on the extraordinary claims of a woman who has said she could be the missing toddler. Wow. So, I mean, that claims are pretty interesting. If the parents have pictures of you being born and as a youngster and you don't have an English accent, I suppose the best test is a DNA test, right? Let's do that. Let's have a DNA test. And she goes, no. The family of Julia Faustina refused a DNA test that could rule out Madeleine Kahn claim. Wow. That's just nuts. That's nuts. I can't pronounce half the names in this story. They ruled out this lady's claim of the events to be true. They've just ruled it out, and they're just pictures of Madeleine. There, sadly, I hope that one day she is alive. She's found alive, and that if she was found alive, whoever her abuser is, or who had brainwashed her, that she could recover from it and be a normal person again, maybe in the witness protection program with a new name, and she did that voluntarily and she can just move on. But look, when I look at the features, could be, but I doubt it. I just doubt it. I doubt it too. That's my skeptical eyes. And I'm not going to ever say that extraordinary claims need extraordinary evidence. No, they just need evidence like everything else needs evidence. Regular evidence is enough. And I think they're right that DNA evidence would put that to rest. Okay. Oh, it was nothing else. Nothing else there in my list of stories. So I'll go back to the show topic screen. All right. Now, there's 22 minutes left right now. If you've got any ideas about something that maybe you got a question for me in the chat room there, that'd be good. Marshmallows, Dave and cereal make yummy snack bars. I'm sure they do. Marshmallows are definitely on my list of happy food. I got a bunch of things like cheese. Oh yeah. I'll tell you something interesting. I've been doing the carb-free diet as much as possible. Sure, there's foods that I eat that have carbohydrates, but I try to minimize it. I try not to eat until at least midday after waking up at something like 6 o'clock in the morning. Regular or even 5, something for work. And it's not easy trying to eat protein-rich foods with a lot of vegetables. The vegetables are there for the fiber, because if you only eat protein, there's not much fiber in all of that stuff. The junk can just get caught up in you. And I'm not into getting my colon flushed or whatever they do in California. I don't know. It's some bizarre stuff there. Anyway, so I've found a really neat diet. So you have something like only 100 grams of a meat or something like that, or maybe 200 grams, doesn't matter. Maybe an egg as well. But Chinese cabbage, which is not cabbage the way you know it, it's kind of halfway between a cabbage and a lettuce. It doesn't have as much green foliage, but it's only because they cover them as they grow, so they don't further synthesize. They just keep growing, and they're just shy of a football's size, and they're pretty good. They have almost no taste, and you just slice some, like 1/4 inch slices, and then chop that up and dice it, and then pan fry it in either, you can do butter. Butter's fine. Butter. We had the other night, what's it called? We either boil the meat with an onion and carrots, but you don't drink the soup from it. And you make a white sauce to pour over it in the vegetables. Oh, I forget the name of it. Goodness me. Anyway, so I cut that up into small, 2 knuckle finger sized pieces and pan fry that as well with some garlic, just some crushed and cut up garlic. Not put through a mincer, not minced garlic, just crushed, just knife on the side, just crack it and throw that in, and some salt and pepper, and that's pretty much what I've been eating recently. Maybe some green beans or something like that as well. Cut those, make it all so that you never have to use a knife for any of it. You can just eat it with a fork. And anyway, I have that for maybe midday to mid-afternoon, and a very small amount of dinner. If you put it into like a dessert bowl, a small dessert bowl, and if you can eat that, then it's fine. It's kind of like a half fasting conversion for weight loss, and it basically takes a couple of weeks to kick in, and when it does, you start burning fat like there's no tomorrow, and you're still getting all the right kind of things. And I do take supplements as well for vitamins, but don't be afraid of fats in food. There's something that occurs with people because they go, look, I ate salad for 8 weeks, which I don't suggest anyone should do, and I lost a lot of weight. And then I went on to light milk. And I think there's probably something wrong with us having light milk rather than full cream milk. I don't think full cream, well, I'll take a step back. When sugar versus fat was a research project, think about who funded that. It was the sugar company. And what was the outcome? Fat is bad, not sugar. No, sugar is really good. We should put sugar in everything. Right, okay. So I'm believing them less and less because I don't see that there's benefit. The benefit that they're touting isn't there in that sugar's good. Yeah, sugar's a high burn, yes, but if you eat too much, it doesn't burn it and it stores it. And fat, on the other hand, animal fats, you don't keep that on your person as much. So there is something to be said about this. And I found it quite successful. It's very difficult to stay away from carbs all your life. You're never going to do it. I know a friend of mine that has coffee and he has butter in his coffee instead of milk. That's good. Each to their own. I have Vegemite and peanut butter on either side of the sandwich, and then I press it together and I eat it, and it's kind of like salted peanuts. If that makes any sense to anybody. I have way more peanut butter than I have Vegemite, but it's not correspondence Vegemite. It's enough to be able to not see through it, and you still butter the bread even though you're putting peanut butter on it, and even though you're putting Vegemite on it, still butter the bread using butter, not margarine. Yeah. So yeah, very strange. So I've noticed that in the last, goodness me, 50 years, our Western diets have become so carbohydrate heavy that it's just totally unbelievable. When I grew up, you might get 3 half potatoes on your plate, small ones, that if you joined your pointing finger and your thumb and made a circle with them, they were small enough that those potato bits could fall through that hole, right? Just 3 of those, and had butter on it and sour cream on the baked potatoes. Oh, so good. Didn't weigh anything. We were so super thin. There was tons and tons of that. We had lots more vegetables than there were the potatoes, and then we had a large proportion of steak of some kind, either chops or steak or mince, or it was meatloaf, something like that. We would either have And chicken was too expensive when I grew up. So we wouldn't eat very much chicken at all. We didn't eat turkey either. We didn't do turkey. When chicken started to come down, I think it was like in the 80s at some point, chicken started to come down in price, and then we would have it like once a week. I know we ate pizza once a week and maybe a Thursday dinner. Go with my father to go and get the pizza in the car. It was always a delightful jaunt in the car with my dad. And I felt like I was spending quality time because, we worked all the time. And other than that, never kind of hung out. But because I was an only child and, children back then were seen and not heard, I think that was the expression that was bandied around in our house. My mum was the kind one. This is like a session. So how does that make you feel? Right? But the Fridays, every once in a while, we'd have fish and chips because I think religiosity suggested that we should eat fish on Fridays or something like that. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So the light milk is just basically regular milk watered down until the percentage was reduced enough to call it light milk. So you could do that with regular milk, just buy full cream milk and water it down so that if it was, 90% fat-free or 97% fat-free, but it was full cream milk, you just add enough percent for it to qualify for the light milk of water. Just add water to it. But no one's going to do that. It's stupid. You could just have less of the full cream milk if you were concerned about the quantity of fat. But remember, fat isn't wrong. Nothing wrong with eating fat, animal fats. It's fine. That isn't what causes you to get fat, to put weight on. It's eating at a crazy amount of carbohydrates to the point where that could be your only meal. I'll just get some hot chips, thanks. That's it. Oh, maybe you guys don't do that. Oh, fries. I'll get a pound of fries. Yeah, that's what I'll do. And do you have some cheese dipping sauce? Oh, I love that liquid cheese sauce that you guys have over there, the kind of orangey coloured one. I think I had it once at Taco Bell. It was like a bag of, not a bag. It was like a container full of fries, and then they poured this sauce over the top, they called it cheese sauce. Oh yeah. If you had chili cheese sauce, I'd eat that as well. But I can't do that now because that's all. If you get into a habit of only eating potatoes or, crisps, I think you call them just chips, bags of chips. If you eat just carbs, goodness me. Is it no wonder when we look around, if you watch anything from the 70s, any shows, TV shows from the 70s, 80s, 90s, watch them and watch us all gain weight collectively. If it doesn't surprise you, it should. If it doesn't shock you, it should do that. That's one of the things that I'm more concerned about. What is the cause? Is it that our diets have flipped and it has become more carbohydrate driven? Is it our proximity to chemicals? Is it the forever chemicals that are in the air? It's in the rain, it's in the ocean, it's found in the ground. All life now has the forever chemicals in it. Is that? I can see comment now as saying vegetable oil is a culprit. I can cook without vegetable oil, and I could cook carbohydrates without vegetable oil and eat only carbohydrates, and I promise you I'd gain weight. It's from the carbs, see, because carbs turn into sugars. That's it. That's all it is. You can either just eat sugar on its own, or you can have carbohydrates that turn into sugar. So that's what I'm doing. Thanks, Amigo. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just pushing the carbohydrates further away from me and deciding to eat the other things on the plate. That's what I'm doing. So I'm making that choice now. What I'm trying to do is kickstart the burning from being storing to burning by doing a bit of fasting to start and then not introducing the carbs back. That's what I'm doing. And I tell you, it's really hard. I looked at a huge plate of. I went out for lunch with some friends today, and one of them only ordered chips, and it had Parmesan cheese grated on top, and there was also an aioli. An aioli is like a creamy kind of saucy thing that you could dip. Oh, it was good. Yeah, bread. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, rice and flour and pasta as well, sugar. Yep. Yeah, all those things are bad. It's okay if that's all you've got to eat and you don't eat it all, and you only eat enough because of say there was no food, right? There's no food, and you've got to live on next to nothing. Then you can't not eat. You need to eat little tiny bits of food at least every day, and that keeps all your internal functions working fine. And if you don't do that, then they can start to break down, and you can start to lose some of your vital organs as a result. So they need to have things to process in order to stay healthy. So you need to do that. And whether it's you've been growing secretly, you've been growing, what's that, wheatgrass? If you have some of that, if you've got dandelions, do your research and find out what you can eat from a dandelion. It's kind of like nature's lettuce, a kind of peppery, kind of tasty thing. It's not bad. You can eat that. But do understand what you're able to identify and eat. I'm sure there's things you can download and print to keep for when the times go south on us. But I've got a yard full of dandelions. So at least I've got some kind of food source ready. I've got chickens. Don't eat the chickens, you eat the eggs. And yeah, so think about, weigh all this up, put all this in the big basket. Your body fat stores are going to be like when a bear hibernates and uses those to survive. That's your last bastion of energy when there is nothing. And that's all that's for. If it were minimal, then that could help you walk that extra mile. It could help you cut that extra tree down. That helps you, with the survival shelter. It could be, the energy it helped you complete some farming tasks. Think about the moment you hear there's any kind of nuclear strike, you need to go immediately to your local nursery or wherever it is in the States. For instance, you might be able to buy packs of seeds at Walmart. Just buy everything there is. If there was anything, if in those last few minutes that you've got, in the 15 minutes might take, or half an hour, 20 minutes, whatever it is, if you were given any warning, that's what you do. Just go there and do it. Otherwise, wait for the thing to happen until it's safe and then go looting. And then, because you're never going to come back to civilization. No one's ever going to arrest you for looting post-war, right? Post-nukes. Don't show me donuts. I'm drinking a coffee right now. Oh, and by the way, get yourself some Shiny Side Out merch. I'm drinking from the huge 20-ounce Revolution Radio dual-branded Shiny Side Out freedomsips.com mug. I've got a huge coffee. I think it's 600 mils of coffee or thereabouts. It's 20 ounce. It's just nuts. So yes, don't show me donuts. I miss that stuff. I miss bread. I need spinach, but man, this donut sure looks good. Yeah, good on you, terrorized me. Good on you. Anyway, look, this we're coming to the end of. This is episode 571. If Meki were here, not by my side, but on air with me, he would say 170 and 500. You can catch Meki and I 3 times a week. This Shiny Side Out show is on Sundays, or it's still Sunday. It doesn't matter what country you're in. It's 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern in the US. If you're in Australia, it's 6 to 8 p.m. on Sunday. Otherwise, there is Plato's Cave, Meki's creation. It's awesome. Great show. It's only an hour long. It's not very long, but it's at 7 o'clock in the morning in the US. But it's 11 o'clock at night here. Sometimes on my own, I'm really tired. I could get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So to only get 5 hours show, 5 hours of sleep, it's pretty tough. Doesn't matter what I do. If I have a nap before, I'm not myself. I'm just yawning the whole way through. Hey, Mace, thanks. Thanks for the weekend show. Oh, you're absolutely welcome. Thank you for the donut too. Goodness me, thanks. Yeah, turn it up. Coming up next is Jer Bear's show, After Hours, and you'll really enjoy it. He always plays good music, always has great discussions, and my hat goes off to you, Jer Bear. I think you have the longest running show, or is it A Mad Painter? I wonder. Let me know. Anyway, take care, everyone, and we'll see you on Tuesday morning, 7 o'clock US time in Plato's Cave.